What if NATO and USSR engaged into war? Imagine a world on the brink. The year is 1985. The Cold War, a simmering tension between the capitalist West and the communist East, threatens to boil over. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, led by the United States, faces off against the mighty Soviet Union and its USSR-packed allies. The Iron Curtain, a symbol of division and mistrust, cuts through Europe. On one side, the democratic nations of Western Europe; on the other, the Soviet sphere of influence. Both sides possess nuclear arsenals capable of unimaginable destruction. The potential flashpoints are numerous: the divided city of Berlin, the volatile Korean peninsula, the proxy wars raging in Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Any spark could ignite a global conflagration. The world holds its breath. Would diplomacy prevail, or would the world descend into the abyss of a full-blown NATO-USSR pact war? In this hypothetical clash of civilizations, both NATO and the USSR pact could deploy formidable military forces. The Soviet Union, with its vast manpower reserves and massive tank formations, would enjoy a quantitative advantage, particularly in a ground war in Europe. NATO, however, possessed superior technology in key areas, including air power and naval capabilities. The United States, with its global reach and advanced nuclear arsenal, would be the linchpin of the Western alliance. Strategically, the Soviet Union might have sought a swift, decisive blow against NATO forces in Europe, aiming to overwhelm Western defenses before the full might of the United States could be brought to bear. NATO, on the other hand, would likely adopt a strategy of containment and attrition, relying on air superiority and naval power to counter Soviet advances while leveraging its technological edge. The outcome of such a conflict would hinge on a multitude of factors, including the willingness of both sides to escalate, the effectiveness of their respective military doctrines, and the unpredictable influence of geography and logistics.
In a global conflict of this magnitude, the allegiance of nations would be a crucial determinant of success or failure. The USSR Pact, though ostensibly a collective defense organization, was in reality dominated by the Soviet Union. NATO, while also led by the United States, functioned as a more genuinely collaborative alliance. However, the potential for cracks to appear in both blocs, particularly under the immense pressure of a full-scale war, could not be discounted. The non-aligned nations, caught between these two ideological titans, would face agonizing choices, forced to choose sides or risk becoming pawns in a larger game. The global South, newly emerging from colonialism, would become a battleground for hearts and minds, with both sides vying for influence. The possibility of nations switching sides, hedging their bets, or simply collapsing under pressure added another layer of complexity to an already unpredictable scenario. The outcome of such a conflict would not only depend on military strength, but also on the constantly shifting sands of geopolitical alliances.
Europe, the historical battleground of empires, would once again become the epicenter of conflict in a NATO-USSR pact war. The Fulda Gap, a strategically critical choke point in Germany, loomed large in the minds of Cold War military planners. Soviet tank divisions, poised to surge westward, would face off against NATO's defensive lines, a clash of ideologies and military might that could determine the fate of Europe. The skies above Europe would be filled with the roar of jet fighters, while the North Atlantic, a vital lifeline for NATO, would be patrolled by warships from both sides, each seeking to control the sea lanes and deny their adversary the advantage. The human cost of such a conflict would be immeasurable. Cities would be reduced to rubble, landscapes scarred by battle, and millions of lives extinguished in the blink of an eye. The very fabric of European society, painstakingly rebuilt after the devastation of World War II, would be ripped apart once more. The consequences of a NATO-USSR pact war would reverberate far beyond the battlefields. The global economy would be thrown into chaos, trade routes severed, financial markets collapsed, and global power shattered. The specter of nuclear war would hang over every decision. Tactical nuclear weapons could escalate into global annihilation. The world would be a vastly different place. The political map redrawn, global power altered, international relations and diplomacy might be broken. The question of who would win a NATO-USSR pact war is unanswerable. The complexities and unknowns defy easy predictions. Any answer would be speculation, a dangerous game of what if. Yet we must ask it to understand the fragility of peace. The Cold War ended without catastrophic conflict. This was due to choices made and risks taken by leaders. The lessons of the Cold War remain relevant today. The pursuit of peace requires vigilance and diplomacy.